some ATM in Nigeria today, some of them now you cannot even withdraw 10,000, and each of the withdrawals 55 naira. So this will help us. Please, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much. The ATM part got me laughing. Thank you very much for sharing your concern and what's bothering you in Nigeria and in your community. That's interesting. I would want to believe that you are not just the only one facing that. Good evening, 95.1 FM. Good evening.
My name is Kelvin. I'm calling from Arlo.
Okay.
Kelvin.
All right, Kelvin. Good to hear from you today.
Yeah. It's still on the issue of life for my sister.
Oh, I do too.
My sister. And this issue of life is even so bad that when these bad things begin to happen, that here from Arlo, you don't see anything, you know. Like the other day, they came and delayed something, you know. And this thing, if there's life, people will at least be outside to see when these guys come into this. But for the past going to 4 months now, there's not been life in our life. And it will be so funny that when these guys, when they just bring the life for one day, the next day they bring their bill and so high bills. So they expect you to pay for the generator you run on daily basis. So the government should look into that and also look into security around that area.
Okay.
Because the economy of Arlo is going down. And let me even use this opportunity to say that some of these things that happen are outsiders, not even doing this. I'm not running this. You know? But some of these things that happen are machineries that we bring in cause havoc.
Okay.
Arlo indigenous youth are friendly and peaceful.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
The government should look into it and know what to do.
Power and security. Thank you very much. I told you about a 28-year-old man in Nembe local government of Bayelsa State that allegedly shot his girlfriend in the face because he suspected she was cheating. So the suspect, identified as Munabo Tonwario, an indigene of Agada Ama community in Nembe local government area, was reported to have pulled a gun and shot his girlfriend, Victoria Ekala Mena. She's 34 years old, in the face while she was answering a call from an unidentified person. So the incident reportedly occurred on Sunday at about 11 p.m. at Oluwasiri community in the same local government, according to the Daily Trust. The victim, an indigene of the community, was said to have harbored the suspect from discovery by security personnel, as he was said to be on the wanted list of the Department of State Security, DSS, and the Joint Military Task Force codenamed Operation Delta Safe, over alleged involvement in voodoo preparation for suspected kidnappers. So the suspect was said to have been apprehended and tied close to the corpse of the deceased. Confirming the developments, the spokesman of the police in Bayelsa State, SP Asinim Botswat, said on 14th April 2019 at about 45 hours, one Munabo Tonwario, 28 years, shot dead his lover, one Victoria Ekala Mene, female of 34 years old, after a quarrel at the residence of the deceased in Oluwasiri, Nembe local government area in Bayelsa State. So the murder weapon, locally cut to size gun, and an expanded AA ammunition were recovered from the scene. The suspect has been arrested and is being detained at the SCIID Yenagua. Investigation is ongoing currently. Oh, what we do for love. I don't know if that's love or share something else, but whatever it is, it's really unfortunate that her life had to end that way because she was shielding someone that was wanted. Unfortunately. Good evening. Good evening.
I'm Igwe from the Buji.
Igwe, how are you doing? Where are you calling me from?
I'm from Rumuji.
Okay. Igwe, go ahead, please.
I want to inform you about the importance of things happening in the Rumuji right now.
What's happening?
You know, Rumuji is in the blackout for 5 years now. 5 years, we are not seeing light. Light have reached in the lake. Well, what is the difference from the lake to Rumuji? We are not getting light. Over 5 years now. They are promising us that they will get light. We are not seeing light. What's their problem? And the MO local government.
Ouch. Sorry, I lost it there. But I'll borrow the words of Mr. Onyi. They're on top of the issue. Good evening. Welcome.
I'm not by now. I'm calling from Okogoro.
Okay. Welcome.
Last time I put here and I complained of this palm oil of a thing.
Yes, you did.
And the thing is still in the market now. So, in this grounded dry pepper, on the color of 4. So all these things, they are missing something. And the name, like, this thing is bothering me. You know?
It should.
Sometimes you see people having heart problem, you don't know what is the cause. Doctor must tell you one or two things, but all these things are contributing in this, all this problem we are having. So as a government, our government needs to do something. To get all these people in the market, tell them something. You know, using this meal on the goosey, they are also missing something.
A goosey too.
Yes. So
that's the grinded one, Abi.
The grinded one.
Okay.
Grinded one. Pepper, the grinded one. There are 4 grinded one.
Go.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. And on that note, we will call it a wrap for today on Area Talk. But tomorrow on Area Talk, we're expecting a guest, and believe me, you cannot afford to miss Area Talk by tomorrow. We'll be having a guest here in the studio, and I'm sure a lot of things will be sorted out for some persons. But up until then, my name is Buchira Fua, and I want to say a big thank you to each and every one of you that called in. And don't forget, keep calling, keep talking, keep complaining until it's been resolved. We've gotten 1,000,001 feedbacks, positive feedbacks, those that called in and something was being done about it. Please don't forget, it's not just the bad news. You could also call in to share with us the positive ones as well. Thank you very much. Stay happy, stay safe, and keep smiling. And don't forget to be thankful for whatever you have currently. Good evening. The news update is coming up next.
Every day, every hour, when the big stories break, depend on our 24-hour news team to bring you the latest. Today, 95.1 FM. Whether it's happening in Port Harcourt, South South, Nigeria, or around the world, we've got you covered. On air, online, delivering balanced news and unbiased analysis. Today, 95.1 FM.
Today, 95.1 FM, Port Harcourt. News update.
Good evening, here's the news update at 8 on Today 95.1 FM. I am Kala Dakurubasibo. A former Minister of Women Affairs, Senator Jumai Al-Hassan, who is popularly known as Mama Taraba, would be undergoing a knee replacement surgery soon. The lawmaker urged friends and well-wishers to pray for her even as she gets set for the procedure. She made the call via her official Twitter page. The House of Representatives has condemned what it describes as breaches to the Constitution and the laws of statutory transfers by the executive with regard to the 2018 Appropriation Act. In a motion sponsored by Edward Piajok, the House observed that some agencies such as the Independent National Electoral Commission and the Universal Basic Education Commission, who were on first-line charge, have not been fully funded. The lawmakers urged President Mahmoud Buhari to direct the Ministry of Finance and the Accountant General of the Federation to ensure the 2019 Appropriation Act is fully implemented as regards the statutory transfers for these agencies. The House has also resolved to transmit the resolution to the Senate for concurrence. Rivers State Governor Nyesom Wike has called on all politicians in the state to take advantage of his post-election olive branch for the development of the state. Governor Wike reaffirmed his commitment to reconciliation when the governing council of the Rivers State University visited him at the government house in Port Harcourt. He said the state needs peace and security for rapid growth, adding that anyone who loves the state should be interested in its development and progress. Governor Wike also urged the Rivers State University to take measures to check cultism in the institution, advising the university to submit names of cultists to the state government for necessary action. Earlier, Pro-Chancellor of the Rivers State University, Justice Iche Undu, decried the violence that greeted the election cycle and called on the political class to cooperate with Governor Wike to promote peace in the state. In the meantime, the National Orientation Agency is urging the Rivers State Governor and other aggrieved persons in the state to tour the path of reconciliation for a better Rivers State. State Director of NOA, Young Ayotamina, who was speaking in an interview with our correspondent, Alfreda Alarichi, said, inasmuch as the state governor has called for reconciliation, other aggrieved persons should accept the governor's hands of fellowship.
Well, the mandate has been given to them, and the evidence of it is that they were presented as their certificates yesterday. So our charge to them is that, of course, the people have elected them, to give them the dividends of democracy, which they promised during the campaigns. In addition to that, we expect that there will be enough stewardship and accountability on the part of those that have been elected. Acrimony, the politics of bitterness and hatred. Thank God that the governor came out and he has put out the olive branch for reconciliation, and he has said that expect from him is that just as he has promised, and he has clearly said that he's going to live by his word, that this reconciliation will come.
Young Ayotamino also stated that the agency has since begun its sensitization program ahead of next general elections in the country, just as he advised INEC on early preparations.
And so even in the preparation, we need early preparation. There are those who couldn't vote last time because they didn't have their vote, they didn't have their PVCs. There are also those who registered late, and so the PVCs couldn't come out. We need early preparation so that this last minute rush that we used to have, and even their budgeting, it should come out in time. It should be part of, they should begin to articulate their budget for election year, not at the last minute or a year to. It does not waste time. The end of every election, I know it begins. If you have watched very closely, we have started a number of campaigns. Before the election, we are committed to peaceful and non-violent elections. And after that, after the election, we saw the narratives of court clashes and so on. So since 11th of April, we started our campaigns.
Meanwhile, the resident electoral commissioner in Rivers State, Obo Efanga, has denied receiving gratification from any politician in the state. Efanga also said most of the decisions taken during the elections were directives from the national headquarters of the Independent National Electoral Commission. Efanga made the disclosure during a parley with media organizations in Rivers State.
What would I have done differently? Maybe I really need to reflect to know what I could have done differently. But what I'm saying now is that I do not regret anything I did in this election, and I think that's what they did. The first question was, when the siege was going on, what was happening to me, what was happening to me, where was I? When the siege was on INEC headquarters, fortunately, I was not in the office at the time this siege was on, and I knew what was happening, so I didn't need to turn up at the office at that time. Then what I did was to inform headquarters and suggest to headquarters what I thought needed to be done. And that's what actually also made up that the headquarters. So I think that that's what the question.
While commending the media in the state on their coverage of the 2019 general elections, the Rivers Rec said it tried not to join issues with its critics because of the complexity of the politics in Rivers State.
Join issues unnecessarily with people whose accusations did not just make sense. I think there's somebody that called me, I don't know which medium, called me and we spoke and then mentioned one of those claims and I said it's just laughable and that's how I responded. Some things you don't bother wasting your time on. So here am I.
It will interest you to know that the INEC in River State, Oba Efanga, was severally accused of being partisan during the recently concluded elections in the state. In another development, the Commissioner for Environment in River State, Professor Rosalind Konya, says a report on the Black Sioux situation in the state is ready. Professor Konya disclosed this in an interview with our correspondent in Port Harcourt. She said the problem of Black Sioux is peculiar to different locations in River State, adding that the situation will be addressed.
We'll be out. It's with the printer now. We've finished with it. We've made recommendations. And I am sure that as soon as we present it to River State government, it will come out. Everybody will get a copy. Well, not a copy, but everybody will know exactly what it is. So I can't stand here and start telling you what level of suit we are in because it depends on the location. If you go to Element, the level there may be different from what it is in Okrika or what it is in Kula. That's how it is. So I can't give a figure here.
Black suitors continue to pollute the atmosphere in River State despite protests by different groups in the state. On the foreign scene, former president of Peru, Alan Garcia, has shot himself in the neck as police came to arrest him. Reports say officers took him to Casimiro Ulao Hospital in the capital Lima, where he is in a serious condition. Garcia is accused of taking bribes from Brazilian construction company Odebrecht, claims he denies. Officers had been sent to arrest him in connection with the allegations. Garcia served as president from 1985 to 1990 and again from 2006 to 2011. And that's all we have for you on the bulletin for 8 p.m. Thank you for listening. I am Kala Dakurubatubo. Good evening.
Today's news, today's entertainment, today's sports, today's issues. Today on Today 95.1 FM, Port Harcourt.
Do you want to be competitive on the global scene? And how well can you use your available resources to generate income? How strong and loyal is your team? How efficient is your leadership? Are you able to do business outside your comfort zone? Can you create products and services that are relevant to your market? Can you manage people from different cultural backgrounds? How powerful is your brand? How well can you juggle life and business? Can you do more with less time? Come learn efficient cross-cultural communication skills. Learn influencing skills. Learn world-class productivity and efficiency. Expand your business horizons. Get fresh new ideas. Break new grounds and learn to manage a world-class enterprise on doing business with Stephanie Pius. Every Monday night at 8 p.m. on Today 95.1 FM.
That's really something.
Imagine a society where there's respect for rule of law. Imagine a society that is violence-free. Imagine a society where we live together as one. Imagine a society free from all forms of abuse and harassment. Imagine the possibility of an HIV-free generation. It begins with you. This message is powered by your premium talk radio, Today 95.1 FM, Voice of the People.
Talk radio. I listen to a lot of talk radio.
95.1 FM.
Good evening. This is Today 95.1 FM, Port Harcourt, Voice of the People, and it is time again for a rundown of the foreign news stories that made the headlines on the world today. In our package tonight, two students dies in Wart Hunger Market in Inyatike by stray bullets.
And Trump vetoes bill to end U.S. involvement in Yemen war.
Saudi runaway sisters plead for UNHCR protection on social media.
And a rocket attack kills 6 in Libyan capital. I am Buchi Rafour.
And I am Kala Dakurubatubo. We start with Kenya. A Form 2 student at Akala Secondary School in Inyatike Sub-County, Migori County, died on Tuesday evening after he was allegedly shot by a police officer. The 17-year-old boy was shot dead by a stray bullet as police shot in the air to disperse an angry mob that had threatened to lynch a female suspect. According to the eyewitness Ella, there was a commotion at Ward Hunger Market after a woman suspected to be a thief was arrested by Migori County Askaris. Ella said the police arrived at the scene and started shooting in the air to scare the mob. Unfortunately, the 17-year-old boy was shot dead by a stray bullet fired by a police officer. Angry mob overpowered the county Askaris, who called in the police to assist deal with the milling crowd. Charles Okinyi, a relative to the boy who identified the disease as Jevis Omolo, said that the boy was in the market to help his friend sell some goods. Okinyi said the boy was not in the rowdy crowd when he met his death. He was selling in the market. The stray bullet hit him in the stomach. The boy was rushed to one of the clinics at the market for the first aid before he was transferred to Migori County Level 4 Hospital, where he died on the way. The body was later transferred to the same facility's morgue. Migori County Police Commander Joseph Intege has, however, said the boy was not killed by police but by a stray bullet.
And over to Spain. Spain's election board has banned the far-right Vox party from participating in the only confirmed TV debate for the 23rd April election. The controversial anti-immigration party achieved a surprise victory in recent regional elections. Spain's Tres Media network chose it to join the 4 major national parties for a debate on 23rd April. However, the Electoral Commission ruled that Vox inclusion would be a violation of electoral law. The network said it would respect the ruling but stood by its decision to include Vox in the debate. Astra's Media maintains that a debate between 5 candidates of the greatest journalistic value and most relevance for voters, the network said in a statement after the ruling. Spain's current Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez had agreed to take part in the private network's 5-party debate, including Vox rather than the 4-party option proposed by a public broadcaster. However, the Electoral Commission ruled that Vox inclusion was not proportional under its electoral rules, since it does not hold any seats in the national parliament and attracted a very small percentage of the votes in the last general elections.
President Donald Trump has vetoed a bill Congress passed to end the United States military assistance in the Saudi Arabia-led war in Yemen. In a break with the president, Congress voted for the first time to invoke the War Powers Resolution to try and stop U.S. involvement in a foreign conflict. However, Trump vetoed the measure, with the Congress lacking the votes to override him. Trump said the resolution is unnecessary and a dangerous attempt to weaken its constitutional authorities, endangering the lives of American citizens and brave service members both today and in the future. House approval of the resolution came earlier this month on a 247-175 vote. The Senate vote last month was 54-46. Al Jazeera's Rosalind Jordan, reporting from Washington, D.C., said at least 2 Democratic congressmen were calling to override the veto.
And a man in South Korea has set his flat on fire and then stabbed building residents as they tried to flee, killing 5 people, police said. 13 others were injured in the incident that took place in Jinju in the south of the country. The unidentified suspect was detained and admitted the crime, police said. His motivations was not clear. However, police said it was because of overdue wages, according to Yonhap News Agency. The suspect set fire to his own flat located on on the 4th floor of a residential building at around 4:25 on Wednesday, the police chief of Jinju told reporters at a press conference. He then went down to the 2nd floor where he attacked residents coming out of the corridor with a knife. The victims include a 12-year-old girl, a man in his 70s, 2 women and in their 60s, and 1 woman in her 30s, reported by Yonhap. He was detained at the scene after another resident alerted the police. Firefighters extinguished the flames in his apartment. Some 20 minutes later, say Yonhap, the suspect had been living alone in their apartment since December 2015, police said.
Schools throughout the city of Denver, Colorado will shut on Wednesday as authorities said for an extremely dangerous woman. So Pais is reportedly obsessed with the 1999 Columbine High School massacre in which 2 teenagers murdered 12 students and a teacher. FBI agent Dean Phillips told reporters Pais was a credible threat to the community. Authorities issued a security warning to schools throughout the Denver area late on Tuesday, and since then a number of districts have announced closures.
And in Australia, a pet deer has gored a man to death and seriously injured his wife in a rare attack in Australia, police say. The man had gone to feed the stag on his property in Victoria when the attack happened on Wednesday morning. On her part, his wife suffered life-threatening injuries after going to her husband's aid, local media said. She was flown to hospital for treatment. Local media reported that the injured woman was helped by the deer's pen by her. Local media reported that the injured woman was helped from the deer's pen by her teenage son. The family had had the animal for about 6 years, it was reported. The state was a cross between a red deer and an elk. Police Sergeant Paul Purcell told reporters sambar, fallow, red and hog deer are all found in Victoria.
Last month, 2 Saudi sisters fleeing their family in Saudi Arabia secured emergency visas after hiding for months in Hong Kong, according to their lawyer. The young women, who go by the aliases Reem and Rawan, left Hong Kong for a new country of residence, which has not been named. 2 Saudi sisters are pleading for asylum, saying they are trapped in the former Soviet Republic of Georgia after fleeing their country. This is the latest case of runaways from the conservative kingdom posting appeals on social media. Using a newly created Twitter account called Georgia Sisters, they identified themselves as Maha Al-Subair and Wafa Al-Subair. In the video posted on Twitter, Maha says, "We want your protection. We want a country that welcomes us and protects our rights." The sisters claim they fled oppression from our family because the laws in Saudi Arabia is too weak to protect us, and say they are in danger. They say their father and brothers have arrived in Georgia looking for them. They have posted photos of themselves on Twitter so that if something happened to us, people would remember us. The Twitter account has since been made private and the tweets are not publicly accessible. And that concludes tonight's edition of The World Today. I am Kala Dakarubatubo.
And I am Buchi Rafwa. Thanking you for listening.
Do have yourself a great evening.
My name is Ifeanyi. I'm calling you from. Hello?
Yes, Today 95.1 FM. Good morning.
My name is William. I'm calling from Port Harcourt.
All right, William from Port Harcourt. Go ahead.
Talk radio.
You have a right to say no, right? All right.
I'm calling from Unipua.
Okay, thank you so much from Unipua.
We are the station that needs no introduction. Of course, you know, we give the best in news, sports.
You like football, right?
Entertainment, politics. In fact, call it talk.
Yes, we know there's a lot you want to hear, and that is why we talk about everything.
Talk radio.
We're right before you. It's just a dial away. This is your number 1 premium talk radio. Today, 95.1 FM. Voice of the people.
It's that time on radio. Let's take you into the life and times of men and women who inspire, role models who have shaped the world.
Ask any nationalist alive today. Read any of their memoirs, biographies, and autobiographies. Go through many historical fragments in Nigeria, colonial era materials, anti-colonial reports and theses. the name variously mentioned as part of the sword or spade that helped in the destruction of the colonial enemy, or excavated the dirty politicking during the struggle for independence in Nigeria. One of these names that will pop up is Sa'adu Zungur. Testimonies upon testimonies, the Azikiwais, the Aminu Kanus, the Awolowas, the Tafawa Balewas, the Abubakar Imams all knew they reaped the bounties of post-colonial power and popularity, not because they only sweated hard for it, but because of the looming presence of such people like Sa'adu Zungur at the background. But who then was Sa'adu Zungur? If you ask me, I would say he was nobody but a missing chapter in the hurriedly organized historiographical sketch of Nigeria's nationalist struggle. Sa'adu Zungur was nobody but an obscure signpost at the Kano State Triumph Publishing Company building named after him. Sa'adu Zungur was but another small, obscure and unpopular street named after him in Bauchi State. Sa'adu Zungur was that insignificant person posthumously wrapped in a degree by the Abubakar Tafawa Balewa University, Bauchi, without most of us knowing or caring about the event. Now, let me tell you a bit about Sa'adu Zungur. Born in 1915 at Ganjua ward of Bauchi City, Ahmed Mahmoud Sa'ad Zungur was popularly known as Sa'adu. Completed his early education in Bauchi and proceeded to Katsina for teacher's training. He later attended the Kano School of Hygiene and also Royal School of Hygiene with matriculation in London, England. He graduated with distinction. The influence of his scholarly family and knowledge he acquired early influenced his life significantly. His father, Mohammed Bello, spoke not only the local city language Hausa, but also Fulfulde and Arabic fluently. Gifted with something of a photographic memory, Sa'adu was described as a brilliant student of Quranic interpretation, that's called tafsir, grammar, na'al, jurisprudence, and theology, and had a great appetite for learning. Malam Salman, a cousin of Sa'ad, once said that Sa'adu thinks and ponders a lot over issues, and the family was concerned that he will always be either reading, writing, or in deep thought only. He used both his formal, Western, and religious knowledge to confront the wrongs in his society. With his Western education, he became the thorn in the flesh of British colonial administration, to the extent that they practically banned everyone from giving him an employment. At that time, an employment ban by a colonial administrator practically means a hopeless unemployment situation, as there was virtually no private sector. Zungur was not deterred. It was later that he formed the first political forum for Northern youths and then, much later, for grown-ups, the first ever recorded up north. He not only initiated activism against foreign control, he led it with a lot of courage and resolve. His greatest assets were his intellectual and poetic gifts and his convincing writings. Though an effective campaigner for social justice, Sa'adu's mode of operation, however, was not devoid of respect for his elders and leadership. He was assertive and appeared never to give up on what he believed to be right. Sa'adu was genuinely a man ahead of his time. In a speech he gave at Kaduna in 1948, 12 years before the realization of Nigerian independence from colonial rule, Sa'adu described the situation before the nation. He drew analogies to wake the people up from their slumber, that self-government by any name is way ahead of a vote for control by foreigners in one's land. In presenting his ideas at Kaduna, Sa'adu drew the analogy of the propaganda that fanned slavery, where the European establishments were telling the world that the Negro was not educatable because he was not a complete human being. And now, he said, to maintain a grip on their colonies in Africa, they're telling the world that African colonies are not ready to govern themselves. If anyone should buy that ridiculous idea, he suggested, it should not be the Africans themselves. Sa'adu was a writer who did not relent until he breathed his last. His appeal across religious and ethnic lines provided him with opportunities to write columns, articles, and serialized publications for both northern and southern publications. He described himself as a thinker whose faculties for thought and expression were out of his control. He believed it was his calling to live for justice and spread it as far and wide as he could. His passion for writing instead of speaking, he says, is born out of his ill health on the one hand, and also his personality of humility and soft speech. Saadu suffered from a suspicious undiagnosed ailment that some later described as possibly asthma, others as tuberculosis. Being a thorn in the sides of both colonial and local leadership in his struggle for justice and fair treatment of his fellow beings, neither of the authorities, native or foreign, bothered to provide adequate treatment. At a time when private treatment was expensive and out of reach for common man, it sealed Saadu's fate, and he remained unemployed for a greater part of his adult life. Most of the services he provided were voluntary and free. He offered free service whenever he got the chance and later succumbed to his ailment in his midlife. It is reported that he died at the age of 43. Saadu left behind a far more liberated Nigeria, of which very little of its population knew who Ahmed Mahmoud Saad Zungur was.
Personality profile. Now you know.
Still your premium talk radio station, Today 95.1 FM, the news update at 1. The federal government is making plans towards the recovery of... Oh, they call my line again now. Hello?
Hello?
What
is happening? I've not been getting that desired result on my advert placed on radio.
You said you wanted a good place to showcase your products now.
Yes. Someone told me about Today 95.1 FM and I said I should call.
Okay, just come to Today 95.1 FM. I beg, they read news now, thanks.
On my way.
Sorry for that break. Still on the news, Governor of...
This is Today 95.1 FM, Port Harcourt, voice of the people.
Today 95.1 FM, good morning.
My name is Ifeanyi, I'm calling you from... Hello?
Yes, Today 95.1 FM, good morning.
My name is William, I'm calling from Port Harcourt.
All right, William from Port Harcourt, go ahead.
Talk radio.
You have a right to say no, right? All right.
I'm calling from Yenegua.
Okay, thank you so much from Yenegua.
We are the station that needs no introduction. Of course, you know, we give the best in news, sports.
You like football, right?
Entertainment, politics. In fact, call it talk.
Yes, we know there's a lot you want to hear, and that is why we talk about everything.
Talk radio.
We're right before you. It's just a dial away. This is your number one premium talk radio. Today, 95.1 FM. Voice of the people.
It's that time on radio. Let's take you into the life and times of men and women who inspire, role models who have shaped the world.
Olusegun Matthew Okikiola Aremu Obasanjo was a former Nigerian Army general and former president of Nigeria from the year 1999 to 2007 and was born on the 5th of May 1937. Obasanjo was a career soldier before serving twice as the nation's head of state and also serving as a military ruler from the 13th of February 1976 to the 1st of October 1979 and also as a democratically elected president from 29th of May 1999 to the 29th of May 2007. He was born to his father Amos Agidun Obasanjo Bankole and his mother Ashabi in Abeokuta, Ogun State in Nigeria, and his mother and father died in 1958 and 1959 respectively, making him an orphan at the age of 22. In 1948, Obasanjo enrolled into St. David Ebenezer School at Ibogun for his primary school education, and from 1952 to 1957 he attended Baptist Boys High School at Abeokuta for his secondary school education. In 1958, President Olusegun Obasanjo joined the Nigerian Army and received training in Nigeria and abroad. One of such trainings and studies included Defense Services Staff College, Wellington, in India, where he attended in 1965, and where the Commandant's confidential reports on Obasanjo on the 20th Staff Court set in 1965 quoted that he was the best officer who was set at the time from Nigeria, also stating that he was particularly popular in all circles. He had a 21-year military career, which included serving in the United Nations peacekeeping mission in the former Zaire and commanding the 3rd Marine Commando Division during Nigeria's 38th-month Biafra Civil War, which lasted from 1967 to 1970. And on the 12th of January 1970, Obasanjo accepted the Biafran surrender, ending the Nigerian Civil War. Also from 1970 to 1975, he was the commander of the Engineering Corps of the Nigerian Army, meaning that earlier in 1972, he was promoted to the rank of Brigadier General, and from 1970 to 1975, he was the commander of the Engineering Corps of the Nigerian Army, meaning that earlier in 1972, he was promoted to the rank of Brigadier General. And by January 1975, the head of state for the Federal Republic of Nigeria, General Yakubu Gowon, made Obasanjo the Federal Commissioner for Works and Housing to oversee the development of housing, highways, roads, bridges, electrical and street lighting in the country following the oil boom. Also in 1975, when General Murtala Mohammed took power as head of state via a military coup, Obasanjo was appointed as the Chief of Staff Supreme Headquarters, and in January 1976, he was promoted to Lieutenant General. It should be noted that following a failed coup by Lieutenant Colonel Dimka, in which General Murtala Mohammed was killed, Obasanjo was chosen as the head of state by the Supreme Military Council, and by the 13th of February 1976 had resigned as the head of state and the Nigerian Army. Following a failed military coup by Lieutenant Colonel Dimka, in which General Murtala Mohammed was killed, Obasanjo was chosen as the head of state by the Supreme Military Council on the 13th of February 1976, and also he resigned as the head of state and the Nigerian Army on the 1st of October 1979, thereby handing power to the newly elected civilian president Shehu Shagari. While still in service, the military regime of Obasanjo benefited from oil revenues that increased, and this increased oil revenues permitted his government spending for infrastructure development and improvement on a large scale. Also notable is the fact that the Obasanjo-led government relocated the federal capital from Lagos to Abuja, a more central location in the interior of the country, because it was not identified with any particular ethnic group. It is also recorded that there was an expansion of agricultural production and industrialization boomed in the 1970s when Obasanjo was in power, despite many infrastructural constraints, and the Nigerian Enterprises Promotion Decree of 1977 further encouraged the growth of an indigenous middle class. During his tenure, Obasanjo was able to establish a steel mill in Ajokuta in Kogi State with Soviet assistance. Education also expanded under Obasanjo, and at the start of the Civil War, there were only 5 universities, but by 1975, the number had increased to 13, with 7 more to be established over the next several years. Similar advances were also made in primary and secondary school education, during which the universal primary school education was introduced nationwide. It is also recorded that during the regime of Sani Abacha, that was between 1993 to 1998, Obasanjo spoke against the human rights abuse of the regime and was imprisoned for alleged participation in an aborted coup based on testimony via torture, and was released after Abacha's sudden death on the 8th of June 1998, and in that same year he founded the African Leadership Forum. On the 29th of May 1999, Obasanjo took office as the first elected and civilian head of state in Nigeria after 16 years of military rule, and that today is now commemorated as the Democracy Day, which is a public holiday in Nigeria. Obasanjo spent most of his first time traveling abroad as president, where he succeeded in winning at least some Western support for strengthening Nigerians' nascent democracy. Obasanjo also won international praise for Nigeria's role in crucial regional peacekeeping missions in Sierra Leone and Libya. From July 2004 to January 2005, 2006, Obasanjo also served as the chairperson of the African Union, and by June 12, 2006, he signed the Green Tree Agreement with Cameroonian President Paul Biya, which formally put an end to the Bakassi Peninsula border dispute. With the already existing oil revenue, Obasanjo created the Niger Delta Development Commission and implemented the Universal Basic Education Program to enhance the literacy level of Nigerians. It should be noted he constituted both the Independent Corrupt Practices Commission and the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission and resuscitated the National Fertilizer Company in Kaduna and Oner Port Harcourt. Before Obasanjo's administration, Nigeria's GDP growth had been painfully low since 1987. However, under Obasanjo, the growth rate doubled to 6% until he left office. Also, Nigeria's foreign reserves at the time rose from $2 billion in 1999 to $43 billion on leaving office in 2007. He was able to secure debt pardons from the Paris and London Club amounting to some $18 billion and paid another $18 billion to be debt-free. Most of these loans, should be noted, were accumulated from short-term trade arrears during the exchange control period. After presidency, he became chairman of the PDP Board of Trustees, but voluntarily resigned in the year 2012, April, and was appointed special envoy by the United Nations Secretary General Ban Ki-moon to the war-torn Democratic Republic of Congo, where he held separate meetings with DRC President Joseph Kabila and rebel leader Laurent Nkunda. Olusegun Obasanjo served as AU observation head while leading a delegation of African Union election observers. Judging from his historic making roles in Nigeria, it would be safe to state that Olusegun Obasanjo has managed to remain relevant in Nigerian politics till date.
Personality profile. Now you know.
Are you in search of a place to do all your audio recordings? From jingle, documentaries, church messages, and lots more.
Are you in search of a platform to give your business maximum exposure? Look no further. Come advertise with Today FM. With our unbeatable reach, we'll give your business the boost it so dearly needs. Visit us now at number 1 Today FM Drive off East West Road, Rumekini, Port Harcourt. Whatever the business is, we'll give it a voice.
Talk radio. I listen to a lot of talk radio.
95.1 FM.
Imagine a society where there's respect for rule of law. Imagine a society that is violence-free. Imagine a society where we live together as one. Imagine a society free from all forms of abuse and harassment. Imagine the possibility of an HIV-free generation. It begins with you. This message is powered by your premium talk radio, Today 95.1 FM, Voice of the People.
I ain't gonna marry in the spring, 'cause I'm in love with a pretty little girl who wears a diamond ring. And I'm just a country boy. Money have I none, but I've got silver in the stars and gold in the morning sun. Gold in the morning sun. Never gonna kiss the ruby red lips of the prettiest girl in town. Never gonna ask her if she'd marry me. I know she'd turn me down, 'cause I'm just a country boy. Money have I none, but I've got silver in the stars and gold in the morning could afford a store-bought ring with a sparkling diamond stone. All I could afford is a loving heart, the only one I own. 'Cause I'm just a country boy. Money have I none, but I've got silver in the stars and gold in the morning sun. Gold in the morning sun.
This is Today 95.1 FM. To copy this tune, press 9.
This is Today 95.1 FM.
For current news and information, press 5.
They are politicians, all of them. They know what they do.
So they know how they attack each other.
To stay connected all day, press 1.
The person who raised the alarm is the one who made the public know about
Good afternoon and welcome to the World News on your Premium Talk Radio station.
We are your premium talk radio station. Today 95.1 FM, the station with a unique dial.
Late one cold and stormy night, I heard a dog barking. Then I thought I heard somebody at my door knocking. I wondered who could be outside in such an awful storm. And then I saw a little girl with a puppy in her arms. Before I could say a word, she said, "My name is Sandy, and this here is my puppy dog. Its name is Little Andy." Standing in the bitter cold in just a ragged dress, then I asked her to come in, and this is what she said. "Ain't you got no gingerbread? Ain't you got no candy? Ain't you got an extra bed for me and little Andy?" Pat a cake, a baker's man, my mommy ran away again, and we was all alone and didn't know what else to do. I wonder if you'll let us stay with you. Giddy up, trotty horse, going to the mill. Can we stay all night? If you don't love us, no one will. I promise we won't cry. London Bridge is falling down. My daddy's drunk again in town. We was all alone and didn't know what we could do. We wondered if you'd let us stay with you. She was just a little girl, not more than 6 or 7. But that night as they slept, the angels took them both to heaven. God knew little Andy would be lonesome with her gone. Now Sandy and her puppy dog won't ever be alone. Ain't you got no gingerbread? Ain't you got no candy? Ain't you got an extra bed?
Before Eyimba Football Club of Aba, there was Rangers International. They called them the Flying Antelopes. And I remember some friends will tell you, if you are from the eastern part of Nigeria, it doesn't matter what state you are from. Rangers is number one. Then every other team. Welcome to the show. It's Global Sports Update. My name is Godwin Enakena. Paul Johnson is always standing by and has got juicy information from the ever-busy world of sport for you.
Thank you so much, Godwin. Some are already saying the days of bad belly shown to Nigerian football by the Confederation of African Football has returned once again. This is because out of the 27 referees that the Confederation of African Football deemed good enough to officiate at the African Cup of Nations in Egypt, only one Nigerian, a single Nigerian, was deemed worthy to be given an officiating role, and the Nigerian Baba Edel is not even going to be standing as a center referee, but he is deemed only good enough to be an assistant referee. The North African countries of Egypt, though, as well as Morocco, Tunisia, and Algeria, they had not less than 3 of their countrymen on the list, with host Egypt having as much as 5 referees alongside Tunisia. Someone has asked, is the clipper not sharp enough or the barber not good enough? No comment has been made yet from the Nigerian Football Referees Association. Well, aside the fiscal human referees, there is also the video assistant referee. Africa has since, like we know, joined the world of football technology by using the video assistant referee in CAF competitions, beginning with the CAF Super Cup as well as the African Nations Championship last year. Now it's already in use in CAF Champions League and CAF Confederations Cup finals. But the historic football technology will be making its debut in the African Cup of Nations in Egypt in June. The VAR, though, according to CAF, will not be deployed in the group stage of the competition. Neither will it be used in the second round of the competition. Rather, the body has said it will be commencing the usage of the VAR from the quarterfinal stage of the tournament, according to Canal Plus and telling their Freak Sports stations. So just like the African Nations Championship CHAN last year in Morocco, CAF has said the African Cup of Nations will see VAR usage only in the quarterfinals of the biggest African football event in Egypt. Asian Cup of Nations that took place in January also saw VAR being used for the first time in the quarterfinal stage. But then whether this is a good decision or bad decision from CAF, time will only tell. Nigeria's own Emmanuel Amuneke has tasted success with another African country of Tanzania, and as the Cup of Nations draws near, the former Golden Eagles coach says from what he is observing, it looks likely that this year's African Cup of Nations will have a lot of big upsets to serve the world. The former Barcelona winger who guided the Tanzanian national team to a historic Nations Cup qualification says CAF did very well by increasing the number of teams participating in this tournament to 24 from the previous 16, saying this development will bring up competition from surprise quarters in the Africa's prestigious football event. But for his team, Amuneke has said, I personally don't fear any team, and I also know that the so-called small teams are going to this Nations Cup with a lot of appetite to try and prove a point. Don't be surprised if you see some of the so-called big boys packing their bags early in this tournament, said the 1994 African Footballer of the Year. I just hope he's not thinking about Nigeria while making those gloomy predictions for the countries that are big in the world of African football. And talk about UEFA Champions League. After spending more than £100 million to bring in the Champions League specialist Cristiano Ronaldo, the Serie A heavyweight Juventus were all but confirmed as the sole contender for this year's UEFA Champions League. Club, which is listed as a company in the Milan Stock Exchange, saw their price at the time rise amidst hope of profits from the new era of dominance that was to come into Turin. Well, last night Ajax happened to them, same way it happened to Real Madrid. The effect did not end in the stadium, as we have heard. According to Business Side of Sport, Juventus as a company loved at the beginning of the season by investors and trusted by investors as well, have soon started to scare every investor that they know. Aftermath of their 2-1 loss last night is still being felt by the club, especially in the business side of it. The price of the stock in the stock market has already started going down, losing more than 21% of its value in a temporary loss of confidence shown by the investors. Ajax, their rival who won, they turned to David that conquered Goliath. They also saw a good fortune in their stock rise in the Amsterdam stock market by gaining more than 7%, and that shows how fast affection switches immediately. But then the dreams of Russell Westbrook, Paul George in the basketball world is something that is in danger for their club side, Oklahoma City Thunders. They are hoping to reach the playoff final this year, but it has been dealt a heavy blow by Portland Trail Blazers, led by Nigeria's Al-Farouk Aminu and his team. They are being led 2-0 in the series by Portland Trail Blazers, and the OKC star Russell Westbrook says they might be down 2-0 to the Trail Blazers, but he is confident that they are not out of contention just yet. Westbrook once again nearly scored a triple-double and a great performance from his teammate Paul George, yet couldn't help the team get a win today, something Westbrook himself says it's a team thing and they can still turn it around. They have won their first 2 home games, obviously, but the message is that I trust in us to make it through the next round of this series, said Westbrook to newsmen after the loss today. It is no longer news that our own Nigerian Anthony Joshua may likely not be fighting Jarrell Miller in America in the June 1st fight. But then, the popular boxer, the boxing superstar David Haye, has called Anthony Joshua's promoter Eddie Hearn on the boxer who is likely to replace Jarrell Miller for the June 1st fight. One would have thought that David Haye was going to come out of retirement and fight Joshua. No, he won't. Rather, David Haye has suggested British fellow boxer Derek Chisora as the ideal man to give Anthony Joshua a good fight come the June 1st time. Speaking to Sky Sports, David Haye said, I talked to Eddie Hearn today and he said he has had pretty much every heavyweight in top 10 willing to fight Anthony Joshua. Everyone wants to get a big payday, but Joshua needs an opponent who has got history of challenging world titles, and his name is Derek Chisora. He is in great shape, said David Haye. So whatever it is, Derek Chisora, the Zimbabwean-born British boxer, is also in the line of boxers who want to fight Anthony Joshua. Who doesn't want to have a time in the limelight is the big question. And those are the sports stories we've picked up from the world of sports for you today. Giving you now back to Godwin for a blockbuster interview. I, yours sincerely, will also want to listen to this.
Thank you so much, Paul Johnson. And I started by talking about Rangers International, the most talked about team right now. Remember, they were on the continent. They started like a house on fire. At some point, the coach of the team said the team didn't just play the way they can. He knows that they can do better than that. He said they switched off. He says that word. Our privilege today to once again talk to Coach Benga Ogubote. He's the coach of Rangers International of Enugu. Coach, thank you for joining us and congratulations for what your team is doing so far. So what miracle, what juju are you using?
God, you don't start. I think I must thank you for the encomium pour on this team. Be it as it may, we give glory to God. He has been our fortress. He has been our strength. And besides, there is an adage that says, "Heaven help those who help themselves." But of course, hard work too. And the way we went out of the Confederation Cup was another, motivational factor I have used on the team. Players who taste continental games who always want to go there. And you don't just go there, you have to make it here. You get qualified through the league or through the ATO Cup, otherwise you won't be there. So I think it's one of the things that is really giving us that tonic to wanting to go back to the continent back.
A fan of Enugu Rangers said to me, Godwin, I wish the league can just end now. Rangers will be crowned champions. But the league is not ending now. You have done the toughest job, and that is qualifying for the Super Six. It's just mathematics now. You're already there. Yes, the Super Six is the real deal. How ready are you for the Super Six?
I think we want to take it one at a time. Our target for now is to make sure we make the Super Six. And let's pray and hope that we'll be able to manage the success. So when we get to Super Six, there becomes another ball game. Then we set a target for ourselves. We want to lead for others to follow. Then the most important thing is we'll do our best to get back to the continent.
Someone said that this is not the team that played on the continent. That Benga Ogubote went out of his way to recruit players. Is this true?
No, that is not true. It's the same thing. We had issues. You see, our pre-season wasn't good enough because we hadn't enough time to do that. You see, like you rightly said, I did say we switched off, and fatigue and all the rest of things was not, helpful to the team. Because when we started the tournament, we were able to register just 19 players. After some time, the players got tired, got fat out, and all the rest of it. Then before you know it, we hadn't enough backup. Even though they were good, we recruited them. But because they lack, match fitness, they couldn't complement the effort of those that are playing at that point in time. So by the time this one got tired, I knew we were in trouble. So I want to believe that we didn't recruit, but the recruitment is beginning to yield dividend.
How do you walk the streets of Enugu right now? You walk like a king.
Well, it's unfortunate I don't walk like. The important thing is that I'm aware of the job I've taken. That when your team is doing well, everybody seems to be happy with you, and if other way around, they want to crucify him. But be it as it may, we need to make names for ourselves. And making names for ourselves is to bring the club back to the old days, restore the whole glory, so that everybody can, attest to it, that when Ogunbote was in Rangers, this and this and this happened. So I think that's what I'm seriously working towards. And I believe that the players equally are of testing factor, because they seem to believe in that philosophy. And we must not thank the management who keep him true. It's a result-oriented management, and we must equally commend the government who is supporting with finance.
The voice of Coach Benga Ogunbote right there, telling you the magic that he's been using to perform wonders in Enugu, the coal city. Yes, the people at the cathedral are happy right now with him. He says the number one citizen in the state is also very happy with him. He has told you the secret of winning the FA Cup a few months ago. The governor came to the dressing room when they were 2 goals down, and he said to him, "Go and win. I know you can do it." That's about the size of the show. Remember, it's a long interview. One edition certainly will not be good enough. This is just part 1. Watch out for part 2. Most probably there will be part 3. My name is Godwin Enakena. God bless Nigeria.
This is Today 95.1 FM. To copy this tune, press 9.
This is Today 95.1 FM.
For current news and information, press 5.
They are politicians, all of them. They know what they do.
So they know how they attack each other.
And
To stay connected all day, press 1.
The person who raised the alarm is the one who made the public know about.
Good afternoon and welcome to the world news on your premium talk radio station.
We are your premium talk radio station. Today 95.1 FM, the station with a unique dial.
Today 95.1 FM.
morning.
Good morning.
My name is Ifeanyi. I'm calling you from... Hello?
Yes, Today 95.1 FM. Good morning.
My name is William. I'm calling from Port Harcourt.
All right, William from Port Harcourt. Go ahead.
Talk radio.
You have a right to say no, right? All right.
I'm calling from Unipua.
Okay, thank you so much from Unagua.
We are the station that needs no introduction. Of course, you know, we give the best in news, sports,
You like football, right?
entertainment, politics. In fact, call it talk.
Yes, we know there's a lot you want to hear, and that is why we talk about everything.
Talk radio.
We're right before you. It's just a dial away. This is your number 1 premium talk radio. Today, 95.1 FM. Voice of the people.
Today 95.1 FM, Port Harcourt. Opinion poll with Kalada.
Right, ladies and gentlemen, it is time. It is time again for another round of discussions, another round of polling opinions. I mean, it is another round of, we sitting and having to discuss the future of our country. I am Kalada. This is Today 95.1 FM. And welcome to Opinion Poll. Yay! Today is the 17th day, of course, you already know that, of April 2019. And as far as I'm concerned, there are so many things to talk about. But you see, I came tonight to fight. I came to fight because when I saw things like Nigeria struggling to make laws to use electric cars in 2035. Look at the timeline, 2035. I knew that I could no longer fold my hands or lie idle or sit idle I could no longer be passive. So I decided that I must fight. I must fight tonight. I must fight. Because when you look at the rest of the world, they are thinking of producing electric cars now. I mean, they're doing it now. I'm not yet to talk about the merits of the law or the bill that was, being initiated by Ben Murray Bruce. No, I'm not here to do that. But I'm looking at the timeline that they were setting aside for we to be having electric cars. 2035. That is about 36 years from now. I mean, the world must have been using electric cars more. Oh my God. But then again, I do not blame them. If we do have electric cars, how do we power them? Oh my God. How do we power them? So you see, I came to fight. Oh, but then something really did catch my attention. And it is the fact that, I saw, what newspaper did I see that on? Let's see. I saw something. Yeah, what is it? Where is it? Okay, apparently I can't find it, but it has, okay. Now, on the Punch newspaper, and the caption is, court strikes out case as dad forgives man who raped 9-year-old daughter twice. I mean, I read that story over and over and over and over again, and I still cannot understand how Nigeria's system works. I mean, a man in his... how old is he again? I'm sorry, I'm trying to... All right, yeah, forgive me. Now, a man who is 33 years old, 33, full-grown adult, like matured adult, raped a 9-year-old girl twice. And the father had the temerity, the father had the mind to go out there and forgive. Forgiving is good. Forgiving is awesome. Forgiving is wonderful. But don't you think this 9-year-old girl will forever be marred by, this act? I mean, what perplexes me is that even the court, a court, like we like to say, the hope of the common man, a court will agree. This is what he said. This is what the court ruling. The judge said that the defendant should desist from such acts, saying that he was lucky that the victim's father, who was the complainant, decided not to press charges. If the father decides not to press charges, what about the court? It's the duty of the Nigerian government to protect the lives and properties of Nigerians or citizens of Nigeria. This girl, 9-year-old, still a minor, but she is a Nigerian. She deserves to be protected. If her family cannot protect her, the government should protect her. But what do I know? Really crazy. But you see, it's even more crazy. When you see a caption on some newspaper daily or some newspaper pages of some newspaper, when it captions something like extrajudicial killings, police official advises against speaking Queen's English to officers. Oh my God, really, Nigeria is worth fighting over. Oh my God. Now you would find out in that article that the head of police public complaint unit, Abayomi Shogunle, has advised Nigerians to avoid speaking Queen's English to police officers on the road so as to avoid problems with them. Let me just quickly, because of time, let me just quickly go to what he said. He said, for now, don't go and be speaking Queen's English with them on the road. For proper understanding, talk to them in Pidgin. Another way to avoid Kasala, he said. Now, he might be making a great point, because understanding is a quick way to solve issues. Understanding is a very fast way to solve issues. If you and I are having a conversation and we understand ourselves, there will be no problem. But where we will have problems is when we fail to understand ourselves. So for you not to go and be mistakenly short or accidental discharge, it is is making sense. Speak to them in a language that they can understand. But there goes my problem. The police is supposed to be what do you call it again? A public agency built or initiated or commissioned for the protection of Nigerians. What happened to training? What happened to making sure that these members of the police force, agents of the police force, these people who belong to a very prestigious agency of government are well equipped to function in the capacity that the office bestows on them? My God, this is evident that majority of them out there lack the required training. They lack the prerequisite to be police officers. But what do I know? What do I know? Oh my God. But in as much as all of these things would persuade me to go for a fight, I want to leave fighting to be the last tool for employment. So I'm going to try dialogue. So yeah, Mr. President, good evening to you. Your Excellency, sir. After my opening submission about congratulations, or when I talked about congratulations to the governor of River State, I realized that I probably did not do as much as when you were given your certificate of return. So congratulations, Mr. President, if you can hear me. But if you cannot hear me, I believe that your people, people who work for you, can actually hear you. I strongly believe they can. And so, yes, Mr. President, I do want to congratulate you, on your re-election as president. Well done, and well done. I believe it is, majority of Nigerians who have decided to vote you into power or vote you back into power. Mr. President, I really do want to remind you of your statement, which really did, resonate well with me. I really did like that statement when you said then that you are for everybody and for nobody. And that means that you will secure all of Nigerians, and at the same time, you would not give anybody preferential treatment. Wonderful. And so, fight against corruption. Even though sometimes I have had issues with the way you fought, this corruption battle, it's still, I would like to start by saying I, do applaud, all of the grounds that you've covered, because Nigeria's corruption did not start, in the last 16 years. It did not start in the last 20 years. It's something that has been eaten deep even before I was born. But then again, I want to say, applauds. I want to applaud you rather for all the grounds that you have covered. Now, moving on, sir. In recent time, people have said, the fight against corruption is lopsided. It's one-sided. It's this and that. It's a witch hunt. People have called it all sorts of names. Mainly because, it looks as if, from the media perspective, that majority of the people that have been haunted, so to say, permit me to use that word, were people of opposition. And not until recently, where we had, of course, people like the man involved in the grass cutting scandal, and of course the former NI is it NIA boss? Yeah, NIA boss, and all of those people, but even when you had Onogen's head, put on the stick, I was one of those people who were clamoring, because I remember saying that even though Onogen was guilty, he still deserved the right to go through a proper channel. He still deserved the right to go through a channel that was devoid of any human rights abuse. I said it on the show. People called me and said I was biased and all sorts of that, Mr. President. But my apologies, because it looks as if, from the way the case is going, that maybe, just maybe, Mr. Onogen might be complicit of all the things that he has been accused of. But then still, I still disagree with the means, because the end does not justify the means. The end never justifies the means. But that being said, I really, really, still have problems when, we go back and say, these 16 years. Because by now, I was thinking that maybe we would have been, making progress in every sector. But let's not go there, Mr. President. I do not want to, go into all of those things. But Mr. President, if you can hear me, Lai Mohammed, Minister of Information. Yeah, wonderful man. Always out there speaking, talking on behalf of your administration. Very vociferous, very vociferous. He's always there speaking, trying to make the people of Nigeria understand, what the government is planning, what the government is thinking, what the government is doing. And most especially, when I was against the Noggin, Lai Mohammed was always on the media. Once again, very vociferous, always out there. Say, how can a old Chief Justice of Nigeria forget to make, declarations of assets? I mean, he's the Chief Justice of Nigeria, so how can he forget? I remember Lai Mohammed all over almost every day. He was on various front pages of newspapers. He was out there talking, backing in some cases. Because when people like me would say, Mr. President, yes, fighting corruption, but that's not the way. He will come at us and say, hey, who are we to, we are not even grateful that the president is. But Mr. President, I'm looking at Premium Times today. And I'm seeing some caption. Lai Mohammed approved 2.5 billion fraudulent payments, but claims ignorance. Mr. President, first of all, I'd like to say ignorance is not an excuse when it comes to legal matters or legal issues. It's not that I'm trying to school you, but I'm just trying to make a point. And two, the same Lai Mohammed who, vigorously, vehemently criticized the suspended CGN for forgetting, has done the same thing. Something similar, maybe, something similar. Both cases are similar. It involves money, one similarity. Two, it involves corruption, and another similarity. Three, it involves forgetting or not doing due diligence. And Mr. President, even if, let's say, Lai Mohammed is not guilty, because like I said, the end does not justify the means. I would also like Lai Mohammed to go through the right process, the right investigation, right, right channels, what I'm talking about. I would also like, Lai Mohammed to go. So he's not guilty yet, But even if, let's assume he's innocent, Mr. President, the fact that he has come out to say that he did not do his due diligence, it's enough reason for the fight against corruption to go to his office. That means that there must have been so many other documents, there must have been so many other contracts, there must have been so many other issues that probably went through his table that he failed to do due diligence by. And it's not just because I know Lai Mohammed counted me on against issues or other issues. No, it's not because of that. I do not keep bad blood. I'm a man of peace. Like I said, I came to fight, but first of all, I felt like maybe you and I could have a dialogue. Mr. President, it is not a bad blood, because I'm bringing this up because Lai Mohammed might just be a case for reference. There might be other people in various agencies and parastatals, in various ministries, who probably do not do due diligence. So, sir, Mr. President, Your Excellency, like I said, it is with great honor that we have you, to be re-elected as president. Remember, Mr. President, Nigeria is a country that is blessed. I mean, we're so blessed with almost, if not all, the mineral resources on Earth. And one thing that cannot be compared, when we look at the Committee of Nations, is the intellectual capacity of the people called Nigerians, whether the educated, the non-educated, the semi-educated. They have great intellectual capacity, that cannot be matched in any part of the world. So you're ruler of a blessed country. But then, sir, I want to plead with you, in all of your majestic, appearance and all of it. I want to plead with you to please, let's take the fight against corruption to the people who work with you. Lai Mohammed. But for the sake of the people who are listening, I would like, Mr. President, to read what the article says. So it wouldn't be Kalada is biased. No. Lai Mohammed, Nigeria's information minister, has admitted he did not do due diligence before signing off on a controversial 2.5 billion naira payment to a private digital broadcast signal distributor. Interesting. Mr. Mohammed told the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission, ICPC, that he only approved the payment based on the recommendation of the Director General of the National Broadcasting Commission, NBC, in May 2017, according to those familiar with the investigation. Anti-graft detectives at the ICPC have been investigating the transaction since June 2018. Already, the ICPC has charged Modibo Kawu, the DG of NBC, for allegedly deceiving Mr. Mohammed to perpetrate the fraud. Mr. Kawu strongly denied the allegations, and the ICPC said he would appear in court on Wednesday alongside Lucky Omoluwa, the founder of Pinnacle Communications Limited, a digital broadcasting firm that received the payment in 2017. Anti-graft officers questioned Mr. Mohammed last year as part of their investigation, but he was unable to provide any information beyond his claim that he only acted on the documents presented to him. Mr. Mohammed did not let detectives record the session. Now, very interesting. Very, very interesting. Saying he needed clearance from Boss Mustafa, the Nigerian government secretary. Documents seen by Premium Times showed. An ICPC official told Premium Times Tuesday that Mr. Mohammed bullied those detailed to question him because of his high role as the top image maker for the government. Mr. President, they are bullying. They are bullying. This is why I said we should not take the fight against corruption, to the people who are working in your cabinet, who are working for you. This is not to malign your administration, not at all, sir. I want a beautiful Nigeria. I want a wonderful Nigeria, and if you can give it to us, sir, I am loyal to your government. But then again, let's take the fight inwards. 0817-000-0951 or 0810-951-0951. You can send text messages to the number 0701-933-9962. So let's assume Mr. President is listening. Constructively. With so much intelligence and wisdom, I would like you to call in and give your submission. What do you make of a 7th Minister of Information? A 7th Minister of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. I mean, a 7th Minister in a government whose mantra is the fight against corruption. What do you make of that certain governor, or rather minister, coming out to say that, you know what, I did not do my due diligence. I did not take my time. What do you make of it? What do you make of it? I mean, it looks as if it is a reflection of what is happening everywhere. Security, education, health. Nobody's doing due diligence. I mean, for so long in Choba communities or Obiakpo communities, I beg your pardon, correct myself there, we've been hearing of a rampage of some, but I use the word that they use in various newspapers, bandits. And yet, we still do not have checkpoints all over Obiakpo communities. I mean, I'm hearing rumors that 13 people were robbed on Sunday along Alakaya, and today along Juba area. I mean, boys in Keke with AK-47 rifles, due diligence. So let's get talking. What do you make of it? 95.1.
Hello, Canada.
Hey, good evening to you.
Good evening. This is ID.
Hi, be welcome.
From Abua.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Mm.
Only just that confession.
Sorry?
Only that confession of saying I didn't be diligent
Yeah.
for signing them.
Mm. Yeah.
Enough evidence to be sacked from the
All right.
cabinet of Mr. President.
All right.
Because you came on a matter of change,
Mm.
and the grounds of the change was the corruption.
Mm.
That was the mantra you used in the power.
Hello?
A document which involves money.
Mm.
Lai Mohammed, haven't admitted this. Sir, with all due respect, sir, put your pen on a resignation letter.
All right. All right.
And drop it to Mr. President and leave that office.
All right. All right, thank you very much for calling in. It appears that one of my lines currently isn't working, so keep trying. If you cannot make it to the phone lines, you know you can always make it to the text message portal. And of course, the text message portal is 0701 933 9962. 95.1.
Good evening, my brother, man, Kalasa.
Good evening to you. What's your name and where you calling from?
This is David Ware.
All right, David West, welcome.
Let me look at the issue of young men with AK-47 strike.
But that's not our discussion for tonight.
Okay. On the issue of corruption, what exactly is the question?
I'm not putting up. This is like I said. You know, I'm giving you a blank check. You know, just tell me what you think. What do you make of it? You know, what do you make of all of this? What do you think the president should do if you know the president is listening right now?
As far as I'm concerned, we fight against corruption. It's a fight that we must not stop fighting.
All right, and I agree with you on that one.
Because corruption in the day problems you are facing today.
All right.
And for me, I would not want to join the issues to say the anti-corruption war is decided.
Yeah. Yeah.
Something.
Yeah.
The most important thing for me is the revelations that comes out of those charges or allegations. It's very important to it. And as far as I'm concerned, the money is being looted by these people as alleged. And there are some that are convicted. You agree with me?
Yeah, I agree with you on that one. I mentioned it.
Now, the issue there is these monies we're talking does not belong to Mr. President Muhammadu Buhari.
All right.
It is the money that belongs to every one of us.
All right, correct.
Money.
Correct.
You are giving money to go and construct a road. You refuse to do the road. You pocket the money. Use it to hire army, hire police, hire dog to protect yourself. At the end of the day, even you too cannot even use it. That's not wickedness. So the anti-corruption war, we have to fight it. And look at the issue of Onoge that we are talking. Anyway, the CCT will be giving judgment.
All right. All right. Thank you very much, sir.
I really do not like discussing issues that are important.
All right, thank you very much. Yeah, thank you very much for calling in. Okay, yeah, that's your opinion. 0817 000 0951 or 0810 951 0951. You can send me text messages to the number 0701 933 9962 95.1.
I'm calling you from Port Harcourt.
Hello, you say your name is?
Mr. Zion.
Oh, Mr. Zion, welcome. Sorry, the line wasn't clear at first.
Well, every man is entitled to his own opinion.
All right.
An opinion has substance that forms ideas. And ideas build a nation.
All right.
When you say it is
fighting corruption. I, Mr. Zion, we ask, where is the corruption?
It's all over Nigeria. Many corruption cases going on everywhere.
Against who?
Against people who are corrupt.
Enemies are those who are fully corrupt. You see, the more we keep dwelling on this world, Mr. President is fighting corruption, the more I tend to believe that the doctrine of psychophancy has been invoked.
Okay, but then again, that's not where we want to settle, because that would be an argument that might take all night. But then again, now that we are having, a minister, a current serving minister, coming out to say, I did not do due diligence. What do you make of it? What should the president do?
You see, I will look at it that the president should exonerate himself from that comment.
All right.
Because the comment does not fully reflect the actions of the president.
All right.
So for the information minister, I think it's high time he separates politics and governance. Because with the look of things, he feels speaking for APC, he's not speaking for Nigeria.
All right.
And which is, for me, I feel that it's a deliberate action, it's a direct plan to stifle Nigerians from the true information.
All right.
So before I leave the floor,
Quickly.
Lai Mohammed should go back to the doctrines, understand the responsibilities of the information minister,
All right.
and separate being a party spokesman and the minister for information of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much there for calling in. Trying to, oh my, interesting. But what do you make of it? What do you make of it? Minister of Information, Lai Mohammed, the same one who was so vociferous when he had to deal with the suspended CJN, who said he forgot. Oh my God, interesting. Politics is interesting in Nigeria. 95.1.
Hello.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening, Kalada. This is Chibuki.
Welcome.
How was it?
Fine, great.
I think it will be hasty for us as Nigerians to start calling on President supporting the issue of Lai Mohammed.
So what do you think the president should do?
This is a president that we have seen that removed the secretary of the federation.
After the same secretary of federation that we clapped. No, don't go there, because we shouted. Nigerians shouted before it happened. It took almost a year, if not more than a year, before it happened. We shouted, we clamored. Go do your research.
I will not go there, as he said, but we clamored. At the end of the day, he listened to us. What if he did not?
Okay, well, that's why we are clamoring again. Or we are saying, Mr. President, please listen to us and tell. That's what we are talking about. Yeah.
We see this president now remove the finance minister.
She resigned. She resigned. Come on now. And after we clamored for months, she resigned.
This argument of us saying this government, the president is biased in his fight.
I didn't say so.
I don't know. That's what Nigerians. Some people are saying that. But I don't get that.
Okay.
This is government. We have seen this man being so sincere in the fight.
All right.
That he's taking the fight.
And that is why we're talking. And that is what I said. I said, Mr. President, I've seen you fight against corruption, and I'm saying, what do you think? What do you think the president should do? Simple.
I think that if we give this man, we definitely do the needful.
Come on. The people need to speak up nonetheless.
They have the right to speak. Every other person has the right to speak. I'm not against that.
Right.
What I'm saying is that I know this president, with his actions, with the way he has been fighting this corruption, that if Lai Mohammed ought to be removed as a result of the fallout of these allegations,
all right,
you will do just that, not looking at anybody.
All right.
Will do just that. So let's just keep calm. Let's just be patient and watch this man do the.
Okay, so you're saying we should just keep quiet and watch.
Let's learn to be patient
Oh my God.
people.
All
Let's
right.
learn to
All
be
right.
patient and be
All right.
calm. Not making noise every time.
All right.
This is nothing. He will do justice. I know him.
Okay, but sorry. Do you remember the Onogan's issue? How long did it take for the president to react? Let's be sincere now. How long did it take for them to react?
No.
Let you
don't bring that in.
No,
Don't
it
bring
is
that
the
one
same. It is the same. How long did it take? How long did it take the government to act? It's the same. Let's have a conversation.
No.
Oh my
You are not
God.
getting it right.
Oh my
But
God.
what
Really?
I'm saying is that
Okay.
this man is not biased.
All right.
This man
All right.
is very, very
All right.
sincere in the fight.
All right.
And we should give him more time. That is my take.
All right.
My name is TJ. I'm calling from home.
All right. Thank you very much for calling in. I mean, no problem. That's your take, like you said. It's your opinion, and I do respect it. Interesting. I'm trying to sort out the messages so I can read out your messages. But in the meantime, keep your calls coming through via 0817-000-0951 and 0810-951-0951. And 95.1. Hello. Oh my God. Please do call us back. And when you do, turn down or turn off the volume of your radio set. 0817 000 0951 and 0810 951 0951. I do not understand what is going wrong with the phone lines, but then again, keep trying. 9541.
Hello?
Hi, good evening.
Hello?
I can hear you. Good evening.
Hello, good evening.
Yeah, what's your name?
Yes, I want to remain Dr. K.
All right, Dr. K, welcome.
Thank you. Yes, we waste a lot of time in this country on irrelevant things.
All
Let
right.
me tell you what is going on.
Mm.
In Nigeria, the policeman will arrest anybody. He will take him to the police station and he will charge him with whatever. They will tell you they are doing investigation. They will not do any investigation.
All right.
They will charge him for whatever they feel like. The judge will not ask them, how did you investigate this guy? How did you come up with the fact that this guy is a thief? Or how did anybody confirm that this guy is a cultist? I'm not saying there are no cultists.
But sorry, where are you going with this? Because we're not talking about cultism and police here.
No, I'm not saying. I'm only saying that there are more problems. The corruption is everywhere.
All right.
The corruption is so bad that every facet of this country is having its own fair share. So what you are seeing, like Mohammed, is not a very small thing. I don't.
Really, it's a small one.
We should not be worrying. Let us look
Sorry.
at
Sorry. No. I want to ask you a question. I allowed you to talk. I want to ask you a question.
I will allow you to ask me a question.
All right, go ahead. Go ahead.
PM, it will happen to. It may not happen to you because of your condition from where you are working.
All right.
It will happen to somebody from your area. A situation that somebody is saying that it's a policeman, we go and arrest somebody and we put him away forever without any conscience. The judge will judge him. The judge will not even judge anything. We just carry the person to awaiting trial. The guy is going to prison. By the time he come back, he has become something else.
Then again, I ask, how is that got to do with what we're talking about?
Yes. And how does it come to? I'm telling you that there are big things, there are small things, but there are some things that are more glaring.
All right.
It affects me and you.
Okay, sorry. Did you? Oh, okay. Anyways, I don't want to ask you the question anymore. Thank you very much for calling in. Because now it's funny how, Canada is biased. Yesterday I talked about, what did I even talk about again? Yeah, I think I concentrated on the state. I know people were, Canada, yeah, thank you. And now because I talked about the federal, Canada is biased. Wonderful. You said there are more important issues. What is more important than, straightening or making sure that the people who lead us, these people who lead us right? What is more important? You're talking about the decay in judiciary. If we have our leaders leading, right, or when our leaders do lead right, we would not be having those issues in the judiciary. We would not be having people who go and sit and await trial. We would not be having all of that. Really. 95.1. All right, we lost that one. We have a text message, and it's a very interesting one. It says, Kanu in Port Harcourt, Canada. When would you talk about states around you that withdrew billions over the counter? Could it be your focus is only federal? You're too biased. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And that is probably why you did not drop your name. But thank you very much nonetheless. And 95.1.
Canada, good evening.
Yeah, good evening to you. What's your name and where are you calling from?
This is DK calling from.
All right, welcome, DK.
Yes, when Naya Mohammed was talking about on all the issues, he forgot that he himself is a human being.
All right.
That can also make mistakes. Although the CGN case was actually a case of misdeed to me, but not a mistake. Because he couldn't have forgotten just to,
exactly my point.
Yes. But Naya Mohammed, when he was criticizing him, also forgot that he is prone to such mistake or misdeed. So, and you are asking what should the president do about it?
All right.
If the matter is brought before the president, I think he should resign honorably. If he doesn't want to carry the same posture of honorably.
I see.
Because I'm one person that said, as far as the CGN at that time admitted wrongdoing, the honorable thing he should have done
was resign as well.
Yeah. So if Lai Mohammed criticized him at that time and is also finding himself in difficulty, I think he should do what he actually advocated that the CGN should have done.
All right.
That's the honorable.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for calling in. Now, it is important that I put it out there. It's important that the fact that we, about 2-3 people have called in and said, it's too early to start shouting. Why are we shouting? We like to shout in Nigeria. The fact that we did not shout, the fact that a lot of you, especially the elders, a lot of you sat down while certain people, few individuals, ran the country down, aground. A lot of you sat down and did not say nothing. A lot of you sat down and watched. A lot of you sat down and, you're onlookers in the same country that God blessed you with so much natural resources. And, today I talk about, the governor of Rivers State, and someone would ask me, someone even dared say one time that I'm not a Rivers person. So why do I talk about Rivers State? And now I'm talking about, the federal government. Someone says I'm too biased. But be that as it may, we forget something, that the problems that we are bedeviled with in this country does not know political parties, does not know tribe, does not know religion, does not know age. When it comes to hunger, it cuts across everybody. When it comes to poverty, it cuts across everybody. When it comes to the challenges in the health sector, it cuts across everybody. It does not know ethnicity. It does not know religious background. It does not know any of that. It is very simple, very simple question. Very simple. The fight against corruption. I am happy. Because we cannot be living in Nigeria. You're paying your tax, I'm paying my tax, and yet few individuals are the only ones reaping the dividends or reaping the benefits. These individuals, collect monies in large amounts and put for their personal use. Fight against corruption, great. But then again, it is time we let these people know that the people will no longer be toyed with. And I've seen it work. I'm not going to go as far as Algeria or Sudan. I'm going to look here in Nigeria. Someone mentioned the former, Bashar Lawal. How long did it take the government before he was finally let go? How long did it take the former finance minister before she resigned? Not to even talk, let's even go back to previous administrations. Were there even resignations? Were there even letting go? And that is what I'm saying. We can no longer sit and fold our hands. It is time for the people to understand that their voice counts, their voice matters. Because like I would always quote, when we as a people stop to talk when we become silent, we cease to exist as a people. 95.1.
Kalada, good evening.
Hey, good evening to you.
AB is my name, calling from Mobile.
AB, welcome.
Thank you. I'm so shocked by what I'm hearing tonight from some of the callers. Why do we behave like ostrich? In fact, we behave like cricket. You know, in my place, they make a parable that cricket use its own, legs to puncture its stomach.
All right.
Now, someone has agreed, in fact, has accepted responsibility for certain misconduct or misdemeanor.
All right.
And then, as a citizen of Nigeria who claims to be progressive, who claims to be concerned about the future of Nigeria, and rather than come out and say, no, justice must be done, we now begin to play the ostrich.
Right.
It's too early, don't shout. Oh, don't talk. Hey, don't do this. When Onoge came, how many days did it take?
I think it was 1 week. Yeah, it was 1 week.
You know, these same people calling and started hailing the president. Oh, the fight against corruption must be won. By all means. Now, once it happened to anything within the cabinet of the president, you hear these same fellows call on radio. Are we not ashamed of ourselves? It's too barbaric. No nation survives like this.
Moving forward now, what do you think the president should do? Because, like I said, we need to call our leaders, when we feel like they're going astray. Yeah.
The truth is this: my advice and your advice won't even help the president to do the right thing.
Trust me, it will.
No, hear this. The president told the world that he doesn't have any corrupt person in his cabinet.
I see. Interesting.
And then we had the issue of Abachelawa. Like you mentioned, how many months did it take until Nigerians, both international media and local media, everybody shouted and all of that before he was suspended? When the NHIS man, NIA. All of a sudden, just disappeared from the country, and nobody knew when he left the country.
Right.
And then those that we are bragging about how he removed the Minister of Finance. How long did it take? Did he remove her? She resigned and left the country. Trial, no prosecution, nothing. And then, if you want to now say what would the president knows what to do, but he's playing politics with the issue of corruption. That's not the truth.
All right, that's your opinion. Thank you very much for calling in. This one says interesting. Oh my, you're just joining us. I'm sorry. Just keep listening. Okay, let me just say, we're talking about Lai Mohammed. Who came out to say he did not do due diligence in signing of a particular contract, that a particular fraudulent contract that had to do with 2.5 million or billion naira. And I'm saying, what should the president do? What do you make of the matter? What do you make of the issue where 7 minister comes out to say, hey, I didn't do due diligence? Do you think every other minister is doing due diligence? Isn't it worthy of investigation? 95.1. Hello. Hi. Hello.
Hello, this is Timothy.
All right, Timothy, welcome.
Our president is not fighting any corruption.
Really? But you can't really see. That's the point. That's the problem. Can we not be partisan? Would you say at all the president has not fought corruption? Look at it. Come on, be objective.
It's not about being objective. There are so many facts. There are so many facts.
Okay.
Kanduje issue is a one major issue that will be an indictment to him. You remember one of the governors that Obama was elected president of America. Governor of Illinois or something like that. Where that man Obama came from. The seat of Obama was vacant. And the man was to appoint somebody to replace Obama in that. And the man was caught in the video saying that that's a golden spoon that cannot be given free. He was caught in the video, and there was an investigation, and he was found guilty. And they push him out of office. And
prison, gave that man 14 years jail. Unanimous.
So what are you saying? What point are you trying to make?
Hello?
What point are you trying to make?
The point I'm trying to make is that a sitting governor was in the camera losing dollars.
But allegedly, number one. Number two, according to our own constitution, Ganduje cannot really be tried because of his immunity.
It was proven that the kind of the authenticity of that video, and it was confirmed that video was real.
But then again, like I said, investigation, whatever investigation it was, you could not have tried Ganduje because he has immunity. That's where I'm coming from. It's not the president's fault. You talk about the State House of Assembly. That's where, that is the thing. You don't talk about the president in that issue because the president has nothing to do with it. You talk about the State House of Assembly who has...
in Nigeria, the president, the executive is all in all.
The executive is not the all in all. We have a constitution. We do have a constitution.
You have a constitution and your president jurisdiction. Ordered this to release this man, and the president.
All right.
He's up to now.
All right. Thank you very much for calling in. We have to go to other callers now on that 5.1.
Yeah, good evening.
Hey, good evening to you.
My name is David.
All right, welcome.
My brother, the moderator, to the best of my knowledge, the president is not fighting corruption.
Why would you say so?
Yes. Distinguished Senator Shehu Sani, representing Kaduna in the Senate, told us that.
but maybe he had sorry. What if the senator is biased? Have you thought about it?
He was not biased. He was very explicit on this. He proposed a theory that best described the approach of the president to fighting corruption.
Okay. So now there's an approach. Wait. Now
and that was insecticide and deodorant.
Okay, but get my point now. Let me ask you a question. Now, you first of all said he is not fighting corruption, and now you're saying he has an approach to fighting corruption. So which is it? Are you saying there is no fight, or there is a fight, but the fight is not as you would have wanted it to be?
The fight is not as we expected.
So there is a fight.
When you are fighting,
my emphasis is there is a fight.
Sorry?
My emphasis is that there is a fight.
A very weak fight.
Give him kudos. Irrespective of that, give him kudos for fighting.
No. Listen, there were three cardinal points the president campaigned to be president for, in the election. And this is economy. This is the fighting against corruption, and I think the other one, I think I've just forgotten the third one.
All right.
Yeah, the fight against corruption, Now, and security. These are the three cardinal things. Now, during this period, you cannot tell me one example of a person that has been indicted. Somebody was brought
really?
in.
What about Lalong? What about Lalong?
Pension man, about who?
Lalong. Former what do you call it now? Former Plateau State Governor. What about Lalong? What about what's his name?
That matter was not his own now.
But is it about his own matter now, or is it about convicting criminals?
No, it's not about convicting. It's not the judiciary. The matter has been on. The process has been on before he assumed office. But for now, with the way he came in about the fight of corruption, we were expecting that he would be very authoritative and uncompromising.
But he has been. He has
never. The approach has been that of
all right. Thank you very much for calling in nonetheless. Thank you very much. If you feel that way, I'm sorry I cannot help you, but I disagree with you when you say that the president has not fought at all. Really, I do not agree with you. I feel the fight has been gradual, has been progressive. All I'm asking is that he takes the fight into his cabinet. I'm not asking for too much, and I don't know about you. Then 5 for 1.
Good evening.
Hey, good evening to you. Yeah, good evening to you.
Yeah, this is John from Alu.
All right, John from Alu, welcome.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, in terms of the bone of contention this evening, if I say that the president is not fighting corruption, one may likely say that I'm being partisan. So
all right. I would tell you you're partisan. Actually, I wouldn't wait for one. I would tell you.
It's okay. Now let's look at the issues critically. There are issues of corruption that have been levied against the majority of his cabinet, and there are even recommendations from committees of inquiries, like issue of the Minister of Transportation, and nothing has been done about that. Then the issue of the governor of Kano State, you were trying to actually debate it with the one caller.
Yeah.
Let's presume that he's enjoying immunity. So he could not be prosecuted.
Yeah.
But that does not deprive an investigation, others to investigate.
All right.
Now, if presumably the president was actually out to fight corruption, the likes of him in the first place wouldn't be allowed to drive for a second tenure. Since if he's actually fighting corruption and there are very clear evidence that these WJ have actually indulged this kind of corrupt activities, even though he has immunity, the president to an extent to have power over the APC affairs and the rest of them. They shouldn't allow him.
All right. I get where you're coming from now. But now we're not talking about whether he's fighting or not, because I could still give you cases, a lot of cases that EFCC, ICPC are currently working on that you probably do not know about. So yeah, let's leave that. I believe that there is the fight against corruption. For example, there's the forfeiture. Wait. There's all of the forfeitures going up and down. Yesterday we had that. What's her name now? I can't remember her name. The former Minister of Aviation she's losing her property. The one that Patience Jonathan, she's forfeiting monies. Now those are fights against corruption. But yeah, you cannot say wait. I allowed you to talk. You cannot say that the president is not fighting corruption. I would have an issue with that. But my problem is, what do you think? Where I am focusing on is this issue of Lai Mohammed not doing due diligence. I think we had the same problem with Onogen, and I'm asking you, what do you think now that the president has set a precedent before? What do you think that the president should do right about now? With Lai Mohammed's issue.
That we are both saying same thing.
Okay.
We are not saying that he is not fighting corruption, and he's not the first president that has ever fought corruption in this country. President Jonathan Yaradua did, and that was about
all right.
All fought corruption. But the way he painted himself as a crusader of the corruption fighter.
I am saying he is. He is.
So in that case, now take a look. There are like another guy you refer to has resigned. Now he should not pressure on. If you actually fighting corruption, he should not pressure on the best option left for the minister of information. The best option left for him is for him to resign.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I have to go to the next call. That's fine for one.
Yeah, that is all. Yeah, for Lai Mohammed. What he has committed a crime.
You can't. No. Sorry, Force. You cannot say he has committed a crime because you're not a court. So let's just say, allegedly he has committed a crime. Let's go there.
Okay. Allegedly, let me use that word.
All right. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Allegedly committed, because if your action, if you fail to do what you ought to have done to prevent a negative occurrence, you are a party to that crime. If your action neglected certain things you were supposed to address by performing your duty, and because of that negligence, there is a negative result, you must be held responsible for that. And without wasting time, Lai Mohammed is supposed to be arraigned, properly arraigned. This is where we say the corruption should be fought. It's not the other way around. This is what we are saying. It should be a holistic thing, because when you do it, when it is people on the other side, and we feel bad. And let me say this: the president cannot fight corruption because, sorry to say, he is also corrupt.
I know. I can't have you say that. I'm sorry. I can't have you say that. I cannot have you say that. But this one said the fight against corruption bears close resemblance to discovery ends cannot be achieved in the possible shortest time. Critics should be patient and allow him have his way. I believe there can be no scared quarrel. Leono indeed. All right, thank you very much for that one. 9541.
Hello, Canada.
Good evening to you.
Yes, please. I just have to call back because I'm listening to the program. I've heard a comment of others.
All right, quickly.
That the president is not fighting corruption at all. See, there's something they have to understand. I was a schoolboy when Buhari Diabon regime was in session. And I was one person that advocated that should this man have an opportunity to rule Nigeria, he will bring discipline back.
All right.
What we are suffering. But unfortunately, I can also tell you that he has not done my expectation. I also believe to other people's expectation who have known him.
All right.
But the reason is a very clear one. This man is finding himself in a different setting, different from military regime, where you give orders and it is obeyed. If you check how he came to power, people who assisted him financially, ex-governors, ex-ministers, and all of that, they are in his cabinet. It will be very, very difficult for him to round up everybody in the name of fighting corruption and charity.
All right. Now,
Nigerian politicians, nearly everybody has seen and come short of the glory of the law.
Okay. Now, you said difficult, but is it impossible?
No, it is not impossible.
So why is he not doing it then?
Hold on. That will be under a fiat government, a kind of a dictatorial government.
Are you really kidding me right now?
Against all, hold on. He should go against almost everybody that is corrupt. Because even most of the people in his cabinet, they are corrupt. They are ex-this, ex-that. If he wants to go against them, investigate them, because the government will collapse. So it should be a gradual process. And you also know, one of the reasons he gave about being against Onorge is that he has been frustrating his corruption through the judiciary. So you can find him in a kind of a center where if he says the front to fight the people at the back will stop him. If he now turns the people at the back, the people in the front will stop him. I won't tell you that almost everybody in the cabinet they are corrupt. By virtue of
you need to be careful. You need to be careful with that statement because you cannot verify it. But anyways, thank you very much for calling in.
It's my opinion, yes.
Yeah, thank you very much for calling in. But that's so much we can take on the show. Apparently, I did bring up a topic that offended so many people, and I like to say that I am not sorry for it. I am not sorry for it because. If we cannot discuss sensitive issues without being partisan about it, without being, very defensive of whatever political divide we find ourselves, then I'm sorry, but I'm not apologetic about it. We need to come up matured. We need to talk for the development of Nigeria, not for the development of APC, not for the development of PDP, not for the development of any other political party, because once again. If there were no Nigeria, there would not be any of these political parties. Once again, if there were no Nigeria, there will not be any of these political parties. But then again, I think you guys should sit down and have a rethink. We are the ones who have the responsibility and the power actually to change the projectile at which we are traveling. I am Kalada, and this has been Opinion Poll. Thank you for listening, thank you for calling in, and thank you for texting. But before I leave, I would like to read one last text message. This one says, Kalada, what fight does Nigerians want the president to fight when so many enemies, corrupt politicians in APC and PDP, are not on the same page with him? A tree cannot make a forest. Thanks, Casey. All right, thanks, Casey, for your text message. But right about now, we have to go for the world news. Keep listening to Today 95.1 FM. Good evening.
This is Today 95.1 FM, Port Harcourt. News.
Good evening. This is the World News at 10 on your Premium Talk Radio. Today, Net 5.1 FM Port Harcourt. I am Kala Dakarubatabo. In the headlines, federal government declares Friday 19th and Monday 22nd as public holidays. President Muhammadu Buhari challenges former Vice President Atiku Abubakar to produce his academic credentials. Rivers State Resident Electoral Commissioner Oba Efanga denies inducement from any politician during last elections. On the foreign scene, former Peruvian President Alan Garcia commits suicide to evade prosecution in bribery scandal. Now, the details. The federal government has declared Friday 19th and Monday 22nd as public holidays to mark this year's Easter celebration. Minister of Interior, Lieutenant General Abdurrahman Dambazwa, who made the declaration, enjoined all Christians to emulate the exemplary attributes of Jesus Christ, amongst which are tolerance, love, and peaceful coexistence. According to a statement by the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Interior, Georgina Ekoma Euria, the minister urged all Nigerians at home and abroad to use the occasion to pray for the peace, unity, and progress of Nigeria, irrespective of diversity in religious beliefs. Dambazwa, while wishing all Nigerians a happy and peaceful Easter celebration, further called on them to support the administration of President Muhammadu Buhari in its determination to take the country to the next level. President Muhammadu Buhari has asked all cabinet members to submit comprehensive status reports on policies, programs, and projects under their watch by April 24. A presidency statement by the senior special assistant to the president on media and publicity, Garba Shehu, said the directive was part of the winding down of the first tenure of the Buhari administration. The statement directed the ministers to submit the report to the Presidential Audit Committee in the office of the vice president. President Muhammadu Buhari has challenged the presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, Atiku Abubakar, to produce his academic credentials before the Presidential Election Tribunal. This was in response to allegations contained in the petition by Atiku Abubakar and his party that against the president. President Buhari, in a response filed by a team of lawyers led by Wole Olanipekun, faulted a claim by Atiku and the PDP that he lacked the requisite academic qualification to stand for election to the office of the president. President Buhari said he was far more qualified than Atiku. Buhari also faulted the entire petition filed by the PDP and Atiku, noting that they are more about pre-election issues which the Court of Appeal sitting as a tribunal lacked jurisdiction. He also argued that the petitioners told lies against themselves in the petition and made conflicting claims which the tribunal cannot grant. The Nigerian Senate has passed 7 bills which were vetoed by President Muhammadu Buhari. This is coming as the upper chamber initiated the override of the president on the 4th Alteration Bill number 28. The Senate said that the bills were reconsidered and passed in line with legislative procedures. President Buhari had in his letter of rejection raised concerns about constitutionality of the bills if passed into law. The bills include Petroleum Industry Governance Bill, National Institute for Hospitality and Tourism Bill, the National Research and Innovation Council Bill, and Stamp Duties Act Amendment Bill. Others are the National Agricultural Seed Council Bill, Agricultural Credit Guarantee Scheme Fund Amendment Bill, and Independent National Electoral Commission INEC Act 2010 Amendment Bill. Senate President Bukola Saraki directed the Senate Secretariat to take note of observations and corrections made by senators and ensure that they were reflected in the bills before transmitting them to the President for assent. Meanwhile, the Nigerian Senate has rejected a bill that sought to phase out the use of petrol cars and introduce electric cars in Nigeria by the year 2035. Senators also rejected another bill that sought to open up the Nigerian citizenship to other Africans. The two bills were sponsored separately by Senator Ben Murray Bruce. The senator told his colleagues that combustion cars were causing pollution and contribute to global warming and that developed countries were gradually phasing them out. However, Senator Jibrin Barrow said there was no need to make any law compelling Nigerians to use electric cars at a particular period. Also, the Deputy Senate President, Ike Ekweremadu, while kicking against the bill, said it would affect Nigeria's economy as an oil-producing country. Our correspondent reports that the Senate President, Bukola Saraki, put it to voice votes and majority of the senators voted against it. The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission will tomorrow arraign Justice Rita Ofili Ajumogobia on 18 charges at the Federal High Court in Lagos. Justice Rita Ofili Ajumogobia is to be arraigned before Justice Rilwan Aikawa alongside Godwin Obla. The FCC had on Tuesday arrested a dismissed judge at the premises of the Lagos High Court in Ikeja shortly after Justice Akeem Oshodi struck out the corruption charges made against her by the Commission. The High Court of the Federal Capital Territory in Jabi, Abuja has ordered the arrest of the immediate past Attorney General of the Federation, Mohammed Adoke, a former Minister of Petroleum Resources, Daniel Tete, and 5 others. Others affected by the court's arrest warrant are Raf Wezels, Kasula Roberto, Pujato Stefano, Burato Sabastino, and Aliyu Abubakar. Justice D.Z. Zenshi issued a arrest warrant against the suspect following an ex parte application by the FCC. The charges bordered on fraudulent allocation of the oil prospecting license 245 and money laundering involving the sum of about $2.1 billion, forgery of bank documents, bribery, and corruption involving the Malabu oil. The Supreme Court has upheld the election of Governor Kayode Fayemi of Ekiti State. The court, in a unanimous judgment of a 5-man panel, held that the appeal by Shegun Oni was statute barred. Justice Amiru Sanusi, in the lead judgment, held that the case, being a pre-election one, was not commenced at the trial court within the required time as stipulated under the 4th Alteration Act. Oni had appealed the judgment of the Court of Appeal, which upheld the decision of a federal high court to the effect that his challenge of Fayemi's eligibility to contest the last governorship election in the state was without merit. Rivers State Governor Nyesom Wike has called on all politicians in the state to take advantage of his post-election olive branch for the development of the state. Governor Wike reaffirmed his commitment to reconciliation when the Governing Council of the Rivers State University visited him at the Government House in Port Harcourt. He said the state needs peace and security for rapid growth, adding that anyone who loves the state should be interested in its development and progress. Governor Wike also urged the Rivers State University to take measures to check cultism in the institution, advising the university to submit names of cultists to the state government for necessary action. Earlier, Pro-Chancellor of the Rivers State University, Justice Iche Ndu, decried the violence that greeted the election cycle and called on the political class to cooperate with Governor Wike to promote peace in the state. In the meantime, the National Orientation Agency is urging the Rivers State Governor and other aggrieved persons in the state to tow the path of reconciliation for a better Rivers State. State Director of NOA, Young Ayotamino, who was speaking in an interview with our correspondent, Alfred Alirichi, said inasmuch as the state governor has called for reconciliation, other aggrieved persons should accept the governor's hands of fellowship.
Well, the mandate has been given to them, and the evidence of it is that they were presented as their certificates yesterday. So our charge to them is that, of course, the people have elected them, to give them the dividends of democracy which they promised during the campaigns. In addition to that, we expect that there will be enough stewardship and accountability on the part of those that have been elected. Acrimony, the politics of bitterness and hatred. Thank God that the governor came out and he has put out the olive branch for reconciliation, and he has said that expect from him is that just as he has promised, and he has clearly said that he's going to live by his word, that this reconciliation will come.
Young Ayotamino also stated that the agency has since begun its sensitization program ahead of the next general elections in the country, just as he advised INEC on early preparations.
And so even in the preparation, we need early preparation. There are those who couldn't vote last time because they didn't have their vote, they didn't have their PVCs. There are also those who registered late, and so the PVCs couldn't come out. We need early preparation so that this last minute rush that we used to have, and even their budgeting, it should come out in time. It should be part of, they should begin to articulate their budget for election year, not at the last minute or a year to. It does not waste time. The end of every election, I know it begins. If you have watched very closely, we have started a number of campaigns. Before the election, we are committed to peaceful and non-violent elections. And after that, after the election, we saw the narratives of court clashes and so on. So since 11th of April, we started our campaigns.
Meanwhile, the resident electoral commissioner in Rivers State, Oba Efanga, has denied receiving gratification from any politician in the state. Efanga also said most of the decisions taken during the elections were directives from the national headquarters of the Independent National Electoral Commission. Efanga made the disclosure during a parley with media organizations in Rivers State.
What could I have done differently? Maybe I really need to reflect to know what I could have done differently. But what I'm saying now is that I do not regret anything I did in this election, and I think that's what they did. The first question was when the siege was going on, what was happening to me, what was happening to me, where was I? Well, the siege was on INEC headquarters. Fortunately, I was not in the office at the time this siege was on, and I knew what was happening, so I didn't need to turn up at the office at that time. But what I did was to inform headquarters and suggest to headquarters what I thought needed to be done, and that's what actually also made that the headquarters. So I think that that's what the question.
While commending the media in the state on their coverage of the 2019 general elections, the Rivers Reg said he tried not to join issues with his critics because of the complexity of the politics in Rivers State.
Join issues unnecessarily with people whose accusations did not just make sense. I think there's somebody that called me, I don't know which medium, called me and we spoke and then mentioned one of those claims. And I said it's just laughable, and that's how I responded. Some things you don't bother wasting your time on. So here am I.
It will interest you to know that the INEC rec in Rivers State, Oba Efanga, was severally accused of being partisan during the recently concluded elections in the state. In another development, the Commissioner for Environment in Rivers State, Professor Rosalind Konya, says a report on the Black Suit situation in the state is ready. Professor Konya disclosed this in an interview with our correspondent in Port Harcourt. She said the problem of black suit is peculiar to different locations in River State, adding that the situation will be addressed.
We'll be out. It's with the printer now. We've finished with it. We've made recommendations. And I am sure that as soon as we present it to River State government, it will come out. Everybody will get a copy. Well, not a copy, but everybody will know exactly what it is. So I can't stand here now to start telling you what level of suit we are in because it depends on the location. If you go to Element, the level there may be different from what it is in Okrika or what it is in Kula. That's how it is. So I can't give a figure here.
Black suit has continued to pollute the atmosphere in River State despite protests by different groups in the state. Some residents of Port Harcourt have asked the River State government to tackle dangers associated with open drainage and canals. The residents, who are mainly those living close to canals and drainage around Iwofe and NTA walkback canals, called on the government to come to their aid before the rainy season begins. Some respondents who spoke about the canal before Aka Junction on Iwofe Road in Rumolumeni community in Obiakpo local government area said government have abandoned the canal, thereby exposing residents to dangers. They told our correspondent Uchendu Ejowo that 2 infants fell inside the canal weeks ago while buildings around the canal have been cracked by the erosion.
Please, I want just to report about this canal that has been opened here for years now. We want government to come and help us construct it because that place is very dangerous for women's health. That place, human being can fall inside, and most of these little wild animals are there, and it's very risky for women's health. Please, we are begging the government to come and help us construct that place, do that place well for us. Please, we are begging the government to come and help us. Thank you.
I'm reporting for the respect of the canal that was excavated at Iwofe Road here. For since 2017 till now, nothing has been done in that canal. And of recent now, the canal was excavated, and most of the children running around the environment, living around there. Just like 2 weeks ago, 2 children fell inside and was admitted in the hospitals with serious injury. So, and this thing has been causing a lot of damages, collapsing. Some buildings around there is affecting the buildings. Many kinds of insects and animals, wild animals are coming out from this one. So we are pleading that the government come and find how to work this canal, cover it so that children who are playing around the environment there can be safety for the life.
The Northern community in River State have raised concerns over the disappearance of one Abdul Salam for over 10 days. Abdul Salam, who is a meat seller around the fruit garden market in D-Line, Port Harcourt, was said to have disappeared few hours after he reportedly visited the slaughter market around Uji in Obiakpo local government area of River State. Abdusalam's cousin Ismaila Audu, who confirmed the development, our correspondent expressed surprise at the incident, which he said has been reported to the police.
From food garden to slaughter. It's Saturday. Today now they complete 10 days river jam. So from that slaughter, from that food garden to go slaughter, now we come the final no here. The boy in all in fair 22 age. So in the here Sangana Mewa.
Governor Nyesom Wike is expected to be a special guest of honor at this year's Ogbako Eche Ise convention slated for Monday, April 22, 2019 at Obiri Eche, Umugu, Okeyi in Eche local government area of River State. The event, which kicks off at 12 o'clock in the afternoon, will be chaired by former Commissioner for Education and later Sports Chief Orwell Onyeso, while the Onyeshi Eche Ochi Emmanuel Opurum will be the royal father of the day. A statement jointly issued by the President General of Ogbako Eche, Sir Maki Inwodim, and the Public Relations Officer, Sir Godfrey Agbaragam, said the Apex Socio-Cultural Organization of the Eche Nation will, during the event, also feature public lectures titled Positioning and Motivating Eche Nation for Political Economic Relevance, and called on all sons and daughters of Eche land to attend. On the foreign scene, former president of Peru, Alan Garcia, has shot himself in the neck as police came to arrest him. Reports say officers took him to Casimiro Olao Hospital in the capital Lima, where he is in a serious condition. Garcia is accused of taking bribes from Brazilian construction company Odebrecht, claims he denies. Officers had been sent to arrest him in connection with the allegations. Garcia served as president from 1985 to 1990 and again from 2006 to 2011. A tourist bus has plunged off a road and overturned on the Portuguese island of Madeira, leaving 28 people dead and others injured. Reports say 9 German tourists were among those who died in the accident near Canico. The coach was said to be carrying 50 passengers. In sports, the Golden Eaglets of Nigeria have become the first African team to book a 2019 FIFA Under-17 World Cup ticket after beating Angola 1-0 at the CAF Under-17 AFCON in Dar el Salaam. Olalekan Olusegun sealed Nigeria's place at the tournament semi-finals and to Brazil 2019 when he converted a 21st minute penalty to the roof of the net with Angola's goalkeeper Giovanni stranded. The win means that the Eaglet returned to the FIFA Under-17 World Cup after missing out of the last edition staged in India 2 years ago. Nigeria will finish at the top of Group A if they avoid defeat against Uganda at the same venue on Saturday. On entertainment, one Oluwafemi Lawrence Oyedokun, said to be a personal assistant to actor Yinka Quadri, has been arrested for allegedly opening fake Instagram and Twitter accounts to advertise a fake United States and United Kingdom musical tour and defrauding people of millions. Oyedokun was arrested alongside his girlfriend Rebecca Oyebode and his friend Oyewumi Abiodun Ridwan. The suspect absolved Quadri of any complicity in the crime, and it was gathered that so far the gang have allegedly defrauded about 100 unsuspecting victims and raked in millions of naira for themselves. To end the news, here is a summary of the major stories. The federal government has declared Friday 19th and Monday 22nd as public holidays. President Muhammadu Buhari has challenged former Vice President Atiku Abubakar to produce his academic credentials at the Presidential Election Tribunal. The River State Resident Electoral Commissioner Oba Efanga has denied any inducement from any politician during the last elections. On the foreign scene, a former Peruvian president, Alan Garcia, has committed suicide to evade prosecution in a bribery scandal. That was the news as edited by Chinedu Owuna. For comments and inquiries, please call 0815-341-8657 or 0814-434-3502 or send your emails to news@todayfmlive.com. You can also read our stories on www.todayfmlive.com. I am Kala Dakarubatibo. Thank you for listening. Stay tuned to Today 95.1 FM. Nostalgia Drive is up next.
This is Today 95.1 FM.
To copy this tune, press 9.
This is Today 95.1 FM.
For current news and information, press 5.
They are politicians, all of them. They know what they do.
So they know how they attack each other.
To stay connected all day, press 1.
The person who raised the name is the one who made the public know about
Good afternoon and welcome to the World News on your Premium Talk Radio.